today we got to play Spirit Island. Now, I have been seeing reviews for this everywhere and heard such good things about it, so I was super excited to play it, even though I was a little concerned it wasn't going to be my cup of tea because it's kind of a more attacky game, but you'll get to see out what the results are.
It is a co-op. It's not.
It is a co-op.
Player versus player.
So that does make a big difference. So before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because board games are awesome, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Randy, can you tell us a little bit more about Spirit Island?
I sure can. It was a 2017 release, and it currently has a Board Game Geek rating of 8.4 and a Board Game Geek rank of 9. 1 to 4 players. It is 90 to 120 minutes average length. I think ours ran a little longer than that. Age.
We had a big break though in between because of
we had some interruptions.
Some children things.
Age 13 and up. Designed by R. Eric Roos. Art is by a ton of people, but I'll name the first few. Jason Benke, Loic Berger, Loic Beliau. Probably wrong. It's probably Billy Ow. Kat G. Bermelin and Carrie Corrine, and then there was about 10 maybe more people. Published by Greater Than Games. MSRP for this is a little steep, $89.99. Card House has it, and it's in stock currently for $64.99. Miniature Market has it for $63.99, but it's out of stock now. There are a ton of upgrades and expansions. So, for example, this is not the standard board you get in the game. You get one that's much smaller, and it didn't want to lay flat, which we'll get to in the quality stuff. But this board is $19.95 MSRP. I got it at Card House for $14.99. There's a premium token pack, which upgrades all of the cardboard pieces to wood, which we played with the wood coins and the wood fear tokens. But there's also additional tokens for the expansions in there. That is priced at $49.95, which also is steep for what you get. But the Card House has the price for $39.99. Miniature Market has it for $35.99. Both are out of stock, though. There's 3 expansions for this. One is a full-size one, Jagged Earth. That one runs $69.95 for MSRP. Card House has it for $45.49 in stock, at least as of now. There's 2 smaller expansions, which are Feather and Flame and Branch and Claw. Feather and Flame, I believe, is brand new. Branch and Claw's been out a while, and it's the only one I don't have. But I just pre-ordered it right after playing this, so a little indication we like this game.
Indication. All right.
But those run $34.95, and they're roughly $25 at Card House or Miniature Market. And I believe that is all.
All right, so let's talk about quality of components. So we do have some screen printed.
Well, that's again the upgrade. But the base is just cardboard. You get cardboard money. Yes. Well, not money, but in essence money. It's cardboard energy.
Yes.
And cardboard fear tokens in the base game.
Right, but if you include the upgraded, because that's what we played with, so that's kind of what I'm grading upon. You do have all these little miniatures, but they are super tiny. Really small. Like, I do fear that they're going to get broken quite a bit because they are super tiny.
Especially the Explorers.
That's specifically what I was talking about.
Yeah, Explorers are very flimsy.
Especially because how are you going to paint that? Like, you have to have some super duper
I'm not going to paint it.
Exactly. So there is a little bit of that. But, I mean, they're still miniatures. They have a lot of detail. Miniature. But they do have a lot of detail for considering how small they are. So in that aspect, I understand because the board ends up filling up fairly quickly. If you had them any larger, they would have been toppling over. So the overall card quality, good thickness, linen finish, overall pretty darn good. I will say I would have been a little sad if we had played with the cardboard chips. I liked the wood. The wood was fine. It was overall good.
Yeah. I think the biggest disappointment for me was the board, because it is very small and doesn't lay flat. And then when you get the upgraded version, it's very big, almost too big, and it doesn't lay flat. So neither one of them would lay flat on the table. But yeah, apart from that, I mean, it's decent quality. Nothing's outstanding.
Yes, I was thinking a 7.5 for this. You got the little miniatures. That's different.
I'm probably more of a 7. I don't think it's even hurts a 7.5. It's just nothing's outstanding. It's all decent quality, but for the price, I mean, you're paying $90 MSRP for this game. And,
yeah.
Those
I'm a lot better with the 60 something that's actually selling for.
The cardboard pieces are pretty good thickness. I mean, like
and the card quality is pretty good. Yeah. So it's that's okay.
I'm sticking with my 7.
I'm gonna go 7.5. All right, so let's then move on to themes. So the theme is you are elementals trying to make sure that you protect your island from these invaders. And you're trying to save the native population, who are generally speaking, not...
Well, interesting. There's actually a 3 to 4 page story in the book, but it's actually not at the front. Usually that's where you would expect the theme to be, but it's kind of at the back after all the rules. And the natives weren't really natives. They came to this island. And they had the same kind of strife that the current invaders are facing when they first got here. That they didn't get along with the gods at this island, so they finally came to terms and came to peace with one another. But the gods still kind of lorded over everything, so it wasn't all friendly, even with the little Mushroom Kingdom people.
Yeah. Don't ruin the story that's in my head. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but overall, I mean, you do have all these like elemental powers that you're trying to protect your island with. So I think overall the theme was actually really there. If anything, I did not like the invaders at all by the end of it. Stupid invaders, stop building! Look at it. So, yes. The hatred was real. So I think for theme, though, I think it did really, really well. I did think it brought the emotions into the game because you were tied into the story and what was going on. So for me, and the art is actually really pretty too as well. So for theme, I'm going to give this an 8.5. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I like the story. I like the fact that there is an in-depth story, and it is cool. You do feel like you're kind of the gods overlording this, and I think the small size of the people actually adds to that feel, even though it's not, I'd rather them be bigger, but the fact that they are so tiny, you kind of feel like you're this overlord overwatching this island with them, just kind of wandering among it and spreading blight across your land, and you're like, I don't want that to happen. So yeah, I really I like the way this feels, and I like the fact that you got these really special uber powerful things that you can get during the game that give you massive.
Takes a lot of work getting there, but
yeah.
I mean, so overall though, I mean, a lot of fun.
I'm probably about an 8.5 too on this.
Yeah. All right. So now then let's talk about the rule book, because so there's a little history here. So you tried to start playing it Memorial Day. Mm-hmm. And you guys started. And
we got through
Alan,
a few rounds.
And Andrew got through a few rounds. However, due to the time crunch, you guys couldn't get it finished. So we brought it in on the game day on Wednesday, and we were able to play it again. But this time it was new and different for 2 of the 3 people, because you had read the rules already. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what was your thoughts on the rules? I mean, was it pretty easy to read, or what were you thinking?
Yes and no. It was, the concepts were tough, but the read was easy. It's a 32-page rule book. It's got a nice cover on the front. It's really pretty glossy. Yeah, it's a nice, glossy, heavy-duty material. It's not what you typically see in a rule book. They basically teach you, first they have the contents and the setup, the typical stuff you see. But they teach you basically through the sequence of play, which I've seen this a lot lately, and I still don't know how I feel about it. They do the sequence of play, but then they go into the concepts of what those things mean afterward, which I find it more challenging to learn that way. I'd rather them just put in the sequence of play all of the detail as you go through, but they break it out. I think it's more for reference later purposes. But I always have trouble because I have to go back and disconnect and read back and forth, and it makes it more cumbersome for me to learn a game.
But for me, it actually works better because I just read the first half, and then when I get to that part, then go read the actual section about it.
But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of little rules, and it's easy to overlook one and forget about it while you're playing, especially the first time you're playing this game. Even when we played, we overlooked the turn order because the way the arrows work on the board, it's opposite of how the actual resolution works on the.
Well, yes, and then you kept forgetting to trigger the fear cards, which would have been very, very helpful.
Yes.
So
all in all, it's an effective game rulebook. It's not my style the way I like it. It's like 20 pages of actual rules. But you said it was
really easy to read, though. So that was
and then you've got the different options in solo play and scenarios. There's lots of different ways to play this game. So it's basically the scenarios give you more difficulty that you can add to the game.
Yeah.
We played just the easy level, and we played it where it actually gives you a sequence of card evolution for your character, which I liked, but I do think it would be interesting to play it where you get the randomness of drawing 4 and picking one to keep. Also, because that's the standard way you're supposed to play. Then it goes into the story. It's got a nice map of Europe, so apparently this island is set somewhere around Europe, presumably because the invaders are pretty much Europeans. And then, of course, the credits and the glossary at the end. And it's got a nice iconography chart on the back, which is always useful. There are cheat cards. The cheat cards were very helpful during the course of the game. There's 2 for the general game and 1 for your character. And they actually, on the boards, give you tips on how to play your character, which I thought was really nice, too. So all in all, I'm probably going to give them probably a 9 for the fact that all of the different things they try to give you to step you into this game, even though it is kind of a lot of detail that you have to take in. And it's not my style of the way I like rules to be written, but I understand why they did it for reference.
Yeah, no, I think they were really good. I loved all the aids because that's how I roll is the aids. So absolutely. So now let's move on to gameplay. So the gameplay, it is a co-op game, and so there is a lot of simultaneous play, but also organization of thought where you guys can, do actions at the same time. So the first thing, though, is the spirit phase. Now, the spirit phase consists of the growth. So during the growth, there are, each character is actually different, but you're going to pick one of your growth actions. And they balance between gaining powers, resetting your hand, getting your presence onto the board, as well as gaining energy. When you put presence on the board, obviously it will give you the ability to affect adjacent tiles depending on your abilities that you have in your hand. And then, like I said, resetting your hand and all that. You also, the other thing is adding presence. When you add presence to the board, you open up your ability to gain energy and play cards. So it is kind of a character growth thing, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a very simplistic engine builder in that sense, but it is a slight engine build.
Yeah. Okay. So once that occurs, once you do the growth action, then you take the energy that's exposed on your board. In this case, the highest number is 4, so I'm going to take 4 energy, and then I could play a max of up to 4 cards. Now, whatever my hand is, we'll just pick up my discard pile, guys. We'll say my growth action was to pick up, gain a power, and gain an energy. Woohoo. Okay. So then I'm going to take the additional energy of 4, and everyone else is doing this at the exact same time, so no waiting. Hallelujah. All right, so, which I did like. So you've got your energy. Now I can play up to 4 cards. I don't have to play 4 cards, but I can play up to 4 cards, depending on what I have. And so then I'm going to decide. Now, I don't have to decide on my own. I could say, hey, Randy, I really would like you to move some mushrooms this round. Do you think you can manage that? And he can tell me yes or no, or I can be like, hey, I've got a bunch of support cards. Has anyone got something really good that I can support you with this go around? Which happened a couple of times. So you guys can discuss how you guys are going to help each other to help facilitate the round. Then it goes into actual card playing. So once I have chosen the cards that I'm going to play, I'm being kind of random. Hopefully I can play these. Then I'm going to negotiate between the 3, or how many of the players are going to be, who's going or going first, or how to, coordinate. I don't have to play all my cards at one time. I can just say, all right, I'm going to play these 2. I'm going to wait for you to go. Then I'm going to affect something, and then that person can go.
You have to pay for the cards all at once, but there's 2 tiers of cards. There's slow play and fast play cards.
Right, correct.
And that's key to this game. So there's ones that have little red birds on them. Those are fast play. They happen before the invader turn. And the ones that have a turtle and they're blue are slow play, and they will trigger after the invaders have their turn. So you want to coordinate and try to figure out what's the best strategy amongst all of your players to play your cards, because some of the different gods will have more fast play cards and some will have more slow, like mine.
Yeah, I mean, because basically, given my special abilities and everything I had, I rarely had to play something on slow. So I'm really a fast go-getter, destroy things.
Yeah.
I really liked playing that.
But there's advantages to both, because on the invader's turn, they're going to do destruction. So you want to get fast play cards in so you can wipe them out before they do the damage. But then afterwards, they do a build action where they rebuild in the different areas. And your slow play can affect those more effectively by taking out units that just got built. And I thought that was a nice blend. The only problem was we kept running into situations where we needed some of one or the other, and we didn't. Usually it was we needed fast ones because we had two defensive or slow play ones.
I had one ability that let me give fast actions away. Mm-hmm. But holy moly, these people were like gobbling them up. Like, especially you were like, wait, what? And I'm like, I don't have that card this go around.
Yeah.
So I have to pick up my hand. So, I think that was fun. Okay, so after the fast actions occur, so all the fast actions get taken, and then the opponent goes. And so initially, you start on this end and you go this way, so ravage, right? So that's when they attack. And basically, whatever is pictured on that card, those spaces trigger. And if you had already played defensive or other things that can affect those abilities, and they can attack, cause blight, whatever. And then you go into the build phase. So those locations that you see, they will basically, if there's an explorer, they'll get a town. If there's a town, there's a city. And if they're an equal amount of all three, then you start over again.
No, if there's more towns than cities, then you get a city.
Right.
So, but you don't. The explorers don't have.
Oh, okay. And then the build he handled all the build actions. Okay, so but then the next is the explorer. So when that card gets exposed, then that locations get a bunch of not a bunch, one explorer on all those spaces. But it's like all the water or all the sand or the later ones.
Well, it's all of them that are either populated with an invader or like a town or a city, or it's adjacent to.
And then you do your slow actions and after you complete your slow actions, the round starts over again. There is one thing that we don't talk about. So some of these actions, it will end up causing fear when you destroy cities and towns, and your cards being played there will add fear. When you use all the fear tokens up, you'll get a special ability. We had them all used up. So you have them over here. You put them over here. And then before this gets triggered, then you'll play the fear card and do whatever action it tells you based on the level that you have exposed. So you'll start out with the tier 1 objective. But if you have 2 exposed, you'll go to the 2 because they get more powerful as you go along. So that's helpful.
Yeah, it also changes the win condition as you go on. So at the beginning, you have to wipe out all of the invaders to win the game. But if you expose enough fear to get to level 2, then you don't have to wipe out the explorers. You just need to take out the towns and cities. And then when you reach level 3, it's just the cities. We got very close to wiping out all the cities at one point in the game. And it ends immediately if you accomplish it. You don't have to wait and see if you survive through the build phase.
I was 1 energy short, guys. 1.
Yeah. But then if you clear out all the fear, you instant win. So that was how we ended up winning. But
we didn't realize that at the time. Yeah. And we were like, wait,
but either way, it was all the way down to the wire. Because if they had gotten to take their full turn, the game will end negatively for you if the Explorer deck runs out and they can't draw an Explorer card. Well, we burned through the entire Explorer deck until we got that last fear card.
Yeah. Well, and then we also didn't mention blights, except for there being a theme. So depending when you fail, a blight gets placed on it. If there's already a blight there, you add a blight, and then the blight
expands
to another location. There are healing abilities of the blight that different gods have. I'm going to have them. But if you ever run out of blight, you will also lose. Now, I will say at the very beginning, it seemed a little overwhelming because I was like, how in the heck are we going to do this? And I did feel like Andrew and Alan both felt the same way. At the very beginning, it seemed very like, we're on easy mode. How are we going to win this? Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't make sense. You know, it was on my very hard. But as we continued to play, I was, okay. Like, I get it now. Like,
yeah, well, you start out fairly weak, whereas the invaders are already present on your board, and they take the first action before you ever do anything, which is to explore, and that spreads them even more. So when you first look at the board, it's like, oh, it looks okay, it's not horrible, but then they explore, and immediately they're already spread everywhere on your board, and you're like, oh, crud, I'm already behind, and you're starting out very weak, and you have to build up your strength. But when you get some of the higher level cards, you get some really powerful abilities. And it balances out, but it still makes that tension the whole game of that it could go either way.
Yes, and that's something that's very good when, especially with co-ops, is if that balance is there. It's doable, but it's hard. And so, surprisingly, I actually did have a lot of fun playing this game. I'm surprised by that. I'm not a huge fan of area control. And, you know, attacking's not my thing, but it is a co-op, so I'm not going against other people. And the way they did it with the special powers and things like that, I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was fun. I was pleasantly surprised, because when you first got it out and you guys were starting to explain the rules, and then I ended up not playing that first night, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to end up liking that. But I'm really glad I did get to play it, because I was pleasantly surprised how much I got to enjoy this game.
And whereas I'm the opposite. I don't like co-op. And when I played this, I was like, okay, it might be okay. I don't know. I'll give it a chance. And I enjoyed it as well, even though it's a co-op. And I usually don't like them. I'm getting more and more games that are in the co-op arena that I actually do like. So that's a good thing. But it still has to feel like it's a challenge, and it has to feel like you typically are going to lose in order for me to like it. And this one, you can vary the difficulty, so you have that ability to make it more challenging.
Yeah, I'm fine with the easy going right now. Like, this works for us for right now, until we get really good at it, because it was kind of close.
Well, they also have, there's 8 gods in the base game, and they all come with 4 special cards of their own that are their standard starter deck, and then you have the ability to gain minor or major powers, and there's a ton of additional major and minor powers that you can play with beyond the ones that are associated with, kind of the starting of the cards, because they have the kind of a tiered hierarchy of gaining those minor and major powers. So I like that. Now the major powers, you can choose to get either one, and you take 4 in the standard way you play the game and pick one and keep one. But when you do that with the major powers, you have to trash one of your existing cards. And that was a hard decision, because all of the cards I had were useful at different times in the game. And I had to pick one to eliminate. And it came back to bite us a few times where I trashed a card that we really could have used later on.
I was like, why did you throw the give energy away one away?
Well, you got to trash something. And, it was like, well, this is the one that's least useful in my eyes of the ones I had. But then it came down to that would have been a very useful one at a given point. So
More than once. So I ended up feeding you energy instead, because I couldn't get enough energy to really...
But to be fair, I did wipe out a ton of stuff with the energy you gave me.
Right. But I could have done just as much if I had the same energy, right? So I think that was good, though. Overall, I enjoyed it. Scoring-wise, though, what are you thinking?
I think 8.5 is probably where I'm at, and that's basically what Board Game Geek's got for it. I'm not sure I would put this in the top 10. They've got it ranked at number 9, but... I don't think it's probably in my top 10. No. But I thought it was a good game. I thought it was a really well done game for a co-op game. But, co-op isn't my favorite cup of tea. So
yes, so here's my caveat. I am actually going to give this a 9. with the caveat of this is an area control game. It is a co-op game. Is it my favorite genre kind of thing? No, but it's still solid. It's one of the best of that kind of dynamic that we've played. And so I understand why people like it so much. I did have a lot of fun. I definitely get it. But I would still rather play Pipeline or Great Western Trail. So, but it's still a solid game. So,
and I will caveat that I haven't played with any of the expansions yet. That could open this up too, because that we're playing with bare bones, and it was already a lot of fun. It could become a 9 or even potentially a 10 gameplay wise once you add in the expansions, which we haven't.
Well, it just depends on what they add to it, right? Because I like economic games. I like the resource building. So unless you got something going on, I don't know. I don't see elements building a city. But who knows? It could be a lot of fun. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast today. Hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.